Hi guys, and welcome back to Shay Rob. In my Q&A that I posted a couple of weeks ago, I had a question from somebody asking what I was listening to at the moment. And I thought I'd go, I could talk about dry cleaning again and so many things that I think I've already touched on, but dry cleaning are amazing. And I still want to see them live. Oh God. Anyway, that's another thing. But I thought I would pick some vinyl that I've bought recently to share with you, just to talk about and maybe give you a heads up on some stuff. And forgive me, I've got hay fever, so I'm a little bit sniffy today. So that's what this video is going to be about. Okay, so first up we have this album that I first found when I was going through Apple Music for ambient music. And, I think we all know that I'm a fan of ambient music. I listen to a lot of music with no drums, no groove, no percussion. Just listen to the wash of the synths or the strings or the voices, whatever instrumentation they may be using, if it's like, neoclassical or modern classical or just electronic ambience, whatever. I'm just really into it. And even when it's just noise, I've got some experimental albums that I'll talk about another time that I got from an amazing shop in London called The World of Echo. And they're just fantastic. And I think most people would be like, why are you listening to that? Anyway, I'm into that. So I discovered this. This is an artist called Loscil. And actually, I've done some research again because I know I miss out loads of facts if I'm not careful. The guy's name is actually Scott Morgan. And he's been around for 20 odd years making music. And I must do some more digging. But this is the one that I found, Clara, which is a double album. And if you get it on vinyl, it's like 180 gram. It's fantastic quality. And I was playing it the other day and it plays great. There's no surface noise, because sometimes surface noise on ambient stuff, or quieter music can be a bit annoying. And sometimes the digital can be slightly better experience because of that. But anyway, this played absolutely wonderfully. It sounds amazing. It's going to be hard to find descriptive words that aren't always the same for all of these records. But I just think, the artwork is beautiful of that as well. And interestingly, what this album is, because I've done some digging, it was recorded by an orchestra. There's like 3 or 4 pieces of music that was recorded by an orchestra in Budapest. And then Scott Morgan, Loscil, took that music away and then sculpted various ambient electronic music from various sections and made a double album from that. And I think that's brilliant. I love those kind of ideas. I've done similar things with little drum breaks and solos, where I've taken bits for my record, which is hopefully coming out soon. I'm still working on it. And there's a video on that further down the line on my channel if you want to check it out. And I've done similar things where I've put various drum parts and then added music to it and then looped bits and just picked out bits that I like out of a performance. And I think that's really inspiring. And as I said, there's so many descriptive words for this, it's atmospheric, wistful, elegant, whatever you want to say. And I don't want to end up repeating myself, but if you're a fan of ambient music and the way this album was put together musically with those ideas of snippets and making music out of it, I found that really inspiring, then you'll dig it. If you just want an album to chill out to in the background as well, if you're just looking at for that, then you'll also enjoy it as well, because it will definitely do that. And I think I listen to this record or parts of this record nearly every day, whether it be on vinyl or digitally. I listen to it. I just think it puts me in a nice sort of meditative state, and I can clear my head and check it out. And then there's also, as I say, the muso that can listen to it and think, how was that done? And I wonder what sort of reverb that is, or what plate that is he's put on, those strings or that sound. And so it works as a double-edged sword. But all these albums I highly recommend. So that's the first one. The second one is, it's a choice that a lot of my friends, when I said to them I bought it, were a bit surprised, because I'm not the biggest Dire Straits fan. Not that I'm anti them either, but it's just not quite my bag. But this I love. Mark Knopfler did the music to this brilliant film from 1983 called Local Hero, which was produced by David Putnam. And I got, nice memories of watching that film with my father. We sat up one night and watched it on Channel 4, I think. Excuse me, hay fever. And it just means a lot to me. And when I see it now, one, I love the story. I love that idea. I won't give too much away, but the American businessman going over to this little town or village on the coast of Scotland where they want to redevelop and put like an oil refinery or something near it and stuff like that. Check it out, it's brilliant. It's a great film, and he goes and meets all the characters there, and there's a lot of faces you'll recognise. The acting's great, the script is great, and the music is great. And the music is a massive part of it. Like most movie soundtracks, they come hand in hand in the end. You can't see one without the other, or hear one without seeing the other, and this music is just atmospheric. I really like it. It's obviously Mark Knopfler doing his thing, and there are some band performances. It's not all ambient, but there's a fair few ambient tracks on there, which is, I think, what pulled me in, because they're in the right scenes at the right time, and they evoke various thoughts and memories. And of course, I can keep, as well as watching the film and have the memories of that, have the memories of my father as well. So that's kind of ingrained in there. But I think it's great. Jerry Rafferty sings a track on there. I can't remember the other musos. I think Tony Levin's on it on bass. It's I think Steve Jordan might be on drums, or have I got that wrong? But anyway, well worth checking out. I can't look at the back because it's got the record in it, so I can't see the track listing. If you're thinking, just look at the back. But yeah, that's a really good record. Again, it's not like an ambient thing all the way through, so there are some tunes that come in that like the Scottish vibe. They've got the real Celtic vibe. Dum digga dum digga dum ding ding digga ding. So it's not mood all the way through that you could put on and just chill. It's not. It's more of a soundtrack that goes between the different moods from the film. And even if you don't know the film, it doesn't matter, because I think the music stands up for itself. So that's another classic. And this copy's great. They've just brought it out, I think, remastered. But this is just the original, and the seller I got from eBay. It's great quality. Okay, so my third offering is a double album. Again, I got it on vinyl. It's The Unfolding. Oh, we'll get a few shadows on there. The Unfolding, Hannah Peel with the Para Orchestra. Now, this was done close to home. It was recorded at Real World Studios, and it's actually on Real World Records. And it's an amazingly presented record. Real World have done a great job, and the inners are lovely as well. And also, I know some of the people involved. I know Ollie Jacobs and Katie May, who were engineering this record. You've done a great job, guys. It's lovely. And it's just an amazing listen. This is more in the ambient world again, for most of it. But there are tracks on here which bring in the drums and the percussion section. And it's very rousing, and it really, really works. This was found when just at the start of me getting COVID, and I was just doing a bit of a deep dive into ambient, orchestral, modern classical music. Because, as I say, I love that Loscil album, and I wanted something similar, but with voices possibly. And this has got that. This has got like operatic voices in there, along with strings, along with woodwind and electronics. And I love that mixture of some of those classical instruments with electronics. I think I've talked about that before on other videos. It really inspires me to make music and with my own composing. And Hannah Peel has done a great job here. Her writing is amazing. The arranging is amazing. Charles Hazelwood conducted, obviously doing a fabulous job because he's brilliant, isn't he? So these, not Charles Hazelwood, I'm aware of Charles Hazelwood, but Hannah Peel and the Para Orchestra, they were new names to me. So I've done some research, and Hannah's obviously doing lots with electronic music and classical music. And it's just amazing. I just wish I'd caught this when it came out. It only came out this year, though, so it's not like I've missed the boat and it's 10 years later. But I'm just glad I'm on board with it now. And again, those descriptive words of elegant, atmospheric, moody, all those things you could come up with. They start to sound corny in the end. I would just suggest to really go out and get this record. On vinyl especially, it's fantastic. It plays great. Again, no surface noise at all. Plays brilliantly. But again, the digital tool experience is just as good. And it's ambient. As I say, it goes off into when the drums come in, the percussion, it's really there for a reason. And the pieces pick up, and there feels to be like a real thread throughout the story. And it's recorded beautifully, played beautifully, and it's just wonderful music. And I can't recommend it enough. So The Unfolding, go check it out. Now this album goes right the way back to when I used to live in a bedsit in Bath up at near Camden Crescent, up that way. Spencer's Bellevue actually was. And I lived in what would have been a servant's quarter, I guess. It was right at the top of the house. And it was a bit grim, a bit grimy, but it was the first place I lived in Bath when I'd left Corsham. I think I was 19 or 20, and it was like, exciting, let's get out there. And I was playing a lot of jazz at the time, and there was a pub just down the road called the Farmhouse, which was legendary. And it was owned by John and Mary Bradshaw. And they were just wonderful, and they were friends of my dad. Back in the day, they used to own the Bell in Walcott Street, which is a world-famous pub in Bath. Everyone knows the Bell, all the musicians. And this is an album called Chet, anyway. Let's crack on. By the trumpeter Chet Baker, who's obviously a legend. This album I just think is brilliant. When I used to play at the Farmhouse, I was also working for Marks and Spencer's. I was collecting trolleys, and I was a warehouseman. And I'd be walking around collecting trolleys, which isn't the most glamorous of jobs, but I didn't care, because I'd be listening to music. I had my Sony Walkman on, and I was listening to music and thinking, right, when I go out of the gig tonight, I can do this, I can do that and the other, and the job, I met some great people there, and they were really nice, and it was a good experience, and you should never be too proud to do a job that finances you to do other stuff that you want to do later, so and I used to get my wages every week, and it was cash then in an envelope, and I'd go up to a jazz CD shop, which was in Broad Street in Bath at the time, and I think it's gone now. And I remember I asked for recommendations. I remember I was only 20 or 21. I was young, and I didn't know, apart from Miles Davis, Coltrane, and Buddy Rich and Art Blakey, and some of the other jazz drummers, I didn't know a lot about the instrumentalists, the other soloists, horn players and stuff. So this was recommended to me, and it is amazing. Now, the cover would suggest it's kind of a romantic album, kind of chilled, and it is. I mean, that was Chet's bag, I mean, I know he did some bebop and stuff as well, but his stuff under his own name, it's all fairly kind of West Coasty, kind of cool. And this album is brilliant. I mean, the track listing, Alone Together, How High the Moon, It Never Entered My Mind, 'Tis Autumn, If You Could See Me Now. I mean, it's just fantastic. And you're dealing with stellar players as well. You're dealing with Herbie Mann, Pepper Adams, Bill Evans, Kenny Burrell, Paul Chambers, Connie Kay, and Philly Joe Jones. So Connie and Philly share some of the tracks. And it's just an outstanding record. So I say I had it on CD, well, I still got it somewhere, but I really wanted it as part of this new haul of records that I've just bought for my birthday. That's what these records are all about. When I had COVID, I was sort of ill in bed thinking, right, I'm going to treat myself to some records. So if you're looking for, I hate to do this kind of thing, but late night jazz, then this is good. This is fantastic. Because I think I mentioned on another one of these that sometimes when you're looking at a stylistic thing, it's very easy just to bag it as chilled late night, man. But there's human beings playing on this, and they had to do it. It wasn't sort of a machine doing it. And if you're trying to make that music and do it well, it's really hard to do. We're always perfecting that art of doing something like that, playing jazz or whatever. And to play this kind of set and it never jump out, no one ever jumps out the way, in the way, like the drumming, it's barely a hush by both of these guys all the way through, and the mood is kept perfectly. Same for all these other players. No one ever does anything that suddenly jumps out, as if to say, hey, I'm here, by the way. Everyone plays so tastefully and within the realm of what is tasteful for the record. And that's really hard to do for us musicians. We know that's really difficult. So as well as saying, yes, it's a late night kind of jazz album, but it's also an amazingly played and orchestrated late night jazz album. It's hard to produce stuff like this. So anyway, great record. So there's a lot of Chet stuff that's brilliant, but this one, just have fond memories of the early days of my jazz playing with this, and I really wanted to get it on vinyl. And this pressing is really good, actually, I have to say. And it's a gatefold sleeve, which I haven't opened up yet. I just opened it up to play it the other day. So Chet Baker, Chet. And my last two, and I'm famously come and do some of these things and forget to look up some info, so I've tried to do that today. This was another artist, her name's Jane Weaver, who I don't know an awful lot about, but she was in a Britpop band called Kill Laura. She's a guitarist, songwriter, and singer. And it was on one of my ambient deep dives that I found her, and this was the first album I found. Jane Weaver loops in the Secret Society, and I remember hearing it on Apple Music and thinking, I need to buy this, I need to buy it on vinyl, it's going to sound great. And I did, and I have, and here it is. And what's lovely about this, which I will show you now, and that's something I really like as a vinyl collector now, the companies are all on board with this, making really beautiful looking records. So this bad boy's in pink vinyl. Beauty. And I have to say, the thing that grabbed me about this was her voice is great. Her use of the electronics, which you know that I'm really into for my music and stuff. Her choice of reverbs and plates and all that kind of technical jargon and stuff was interesting. And her use of space, and what she can do with the sounds and how she orchestrates sometimes very little but makes loads out of it. And I think there's something to be said for that. I mean, I like music that goes through all different chord changes and and it's good to have that change of keys and modulations. It's brilliant, but sometimes just dealing with, like, if that's your sort of constraints here, this is all you're giving yourself, now make music from that space. There's a lot of genius to be had from that, because you have to think of sound and mood and everything. So yeah, this album's brilliant. There are grooves and stuff on this. It's not just pure ambience and chill. It's got groove on it as well, but it's just a really interesting ride, and it's a 2-album set, and I can't recommend this highly enough. It's fantastic, and it looks beautiful on vinyl. And then I bought this one, Fenella, which again I don't know much about. Apparently it's inspired by the Marcel Yankovic film. I don't know the film, but I know I've discovered that it was on her sort of playlist of stuff, and I clicked it and I fell in love with it. This reminded me very much of the early Goldfrapp stuff. Like, if you know the Goldfrapp album Black Cherry, and there's 2 songs on there, one called Hairy Tree or Trees, and Deep Honey, and Alison's voice with the plate and the reverb and the instrumentation on that reminds me very much of when I heard this. It reminded me very much of that. And I love Black Cherry, and I love all of Goldfrapp's stuff. Hard to say. Get your teeth in, Robert. And I've worked with them, as you may or may not know. I've worked with them as well, and it was an inspiration to work with them because I'm a fan. But when I heard tracks from this, it reminded me of my favourite parts of Goldfrapp. The Ooh La La stuff I like as well, obviously, and all the pop stuff. But I like it when they do that's the synthy, moody, ethereal stuff. That's what really gets me. And this album is full of that. I think the last 3 or 4 songs is a bit more groove based. I mean, it's still ambient, but it's, drums are in there and it's more of a pulsing groove, rather than in some of these it's sort of the synths and the loops, synth and string loops that give the tempo, rather than a basic drum groove and things like that. So this is a great ambient vibe, this album. Her voice is beautiful. Again, her use of space, and also a choice of sounds, because if you write on software and stuff, which is what I do, some of these could be original analog synths, maybe, I don't know. But you listen to records like this and it really makes you find the right sound on the keyboard, but then it makes you want to experiment, to maybe not just go with the bulk standard sound, but get in there and mess with the effects and sort of create other things for yourself. And that's inspirational. So this has inspired me, not just as a great listen to vibe out to, but it's also inspired my music. So all these albums I think have done that. They're all kind of working in two ways. The muser Rob is being fed new information, but so is the music listener and just chilling. So yeah, check this out, Fenella, amazing album. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that, and maybe you'll want to go and do a bit of a deep dive into some ambient or modern classical music and see what you can find. I find that it really helps my music making, and it helps my drumming as well. It makes me think differently about space and sound. So take care, guys. Enjoy music, enjoy drumming, enjoy life, and I shall speak to you soon.